From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is Inside Politics, sponsored by United Health Group.
Hello everyone, I'm NewsChannel 5's political analyst Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. Our guest on Inside Politics today is Tennessee Republican Congressman Marsha Blackburn. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on the show as always, especially at the end of what's been a very eventful week.
Yes, it has.
There was a poison gas attack by the Syrian government against its people in the last few days. President Trump reacted rather vociferously to that, and he's now ordered the launch of a number of cruise missiles that hit the military base in Syria that started that attack. What's your reaction?
I think that we all can agree that Assad is a war criminal. He is someone who has chosen to gas his people in the use of the chlorine gas and the sarin gas. And President Trump is, the action is appropriate to go in and take out that airfield. There were 59 Tomahawks that were launched that did do considerable damage and disabled the Shayrat airfield.
So are we at war with Syria?
No, we're not at war with Syria. What we have done is to protect the people of Syria and to protect our strategic interests and our personnel who are in that region, because if Assad is going to use gas against his people, I don't think he would have any problem using it against ours. And you know, you look at how close and tight that region is, and if you're in Israel and standing in the Golan Heights, you're looking right over into Syria. You can hear some of the skirmishes that are taking place, and so I think the president made the appropriate move.
The administration's policy to this point about Syria had been mostly focused not on the civil war over there, and there had been previous atrocities and use of gas, but more on fighting ISIS. But in recent days, his administration had also indicated prior to this attack that they were also looking at perhaps changing the idea that Assad had to go as a part of any settlement for the civil war. That's a rather abrupt change in policies in less than a little over 24 hours.
It is a change in policy, and I think what we have to do is look at the fact that that Syria is now in violation of a UN resolution and agreement. We know that. We know this action that Assad has taken, and you don't know if he was going to continue that, or if what else he may pivot to. And the president did change his actions or his process. I don't have the backstory on that. I do know this.
In fact, nobody in Congress was briefed about this before you found out about this on the news like everybody else.
I can only speak for myself. I did not know that it was coming, but I know the president's rhetoric had picked up with his concerns over Syria. Now, who through the process was briefed, I do not know, but I know that last night I found out about the action just as many Americans were finding out about that action, but I do think it's the appropriate action to take.
This appeared to be in part the president reacting to what he saw on television news, which he gets a lot of his information from. Is that a good place to form your foreign policy on, based on that, and make particularly a change like that? The
president has the National Security Council that is briefing him and informing him. You have KT who is there, you have General McMaster who is there, you also have General Mattis that is a part of advice and counsel. So while the president references the media that everyone else is seeing, I think it's also important to note that he has briefings, intel briefings, and classified briefings every single day, and if need be, more than once a day.
There's been a change in the National Security Council in just the last week. One of the president's top political advisors has been removed from that. I don't know the exact timing of all these things together, but do you have any reason to believe that taking Steve Bannon off that had anything to do with the beginning of the change of this policy?
I don't think that the two are necessarily related. I think there's so much that they're trying to work on right now, whether it is the national security policy, tax reform, health care, that it is a matter, and you have to look at this too, the Senate is moving at a snail's pace when it comes to confirming individuals for appointments into the administration. And they need to pick up their pace so that the president can have a fully formed administration. So the advisors to the president that are there at the White House, are they doing double, triple, quadruple duty? Absolutely they are.
Does the president need to come to Congress now to explain his actions and also outline the plan of what happens going forward? Not only about what he plans to do, but how he plans to exit it once he's achieved victory or whatever goals he has.
Well, I think that it is expected that individuals that are on the Intel and Armed Services Committee are probably today receiving additional information. I would expect that when we return from our district work period that we will have a classified briefing that will give us a little bit more information, and that's generally how we proceed.
Do you see this as a one-time attack? Do you have any reason to believe there's going to be additional attacks made by U.S. forces inside Syria? Are we trying to intervene in the war and now remove President Assad, or have we made our statement and are going to move on?
We are seeking to protect people, and we are the Syrian people, and we are seeking to make certain that our military advisors that are there and on the ground, and in that region, that they are safe. You know, the action that was taken last night has been supported by our allies and individuals in the area. And they were pleased to see that the action was taken and that this airfield was disabled. And it provides some relief that was needed. But Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Turkey were all supportive of the action the president took.
Congressman Marsha Blackburn's our guest on Inside Politics. We're talking about what's happened in Syria. We'll go back to this country and talk about what's been going on in Washington. Back to continue our conversation with the Congressman after this break.
This is a Storm 5 HD weather update. Sign up for Weather Call at NewsChannel5.com.
Sunshine, blue skies, and a few passing puffy clouds. All in all, a pretty great way to end this work week, which definitely had some bumps to it. Thankfully, quiet weather will take us into the weekend, but cold weather will be how we start the weekend. Take a look at temperatures across the southeast right now. Sunshine helped us warm into the 50s and 60s today, but clear skies and calm winds will let temperatures really tumble tonight, all the way down into the 30s. Widespread across Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. 35 is where we will bottom out in Nashville. Here's a look at where we are right now. A reminder to you, this is an hourly updated information here. 35 for the overnight low in Nashville means colder than that outside the city, near or even below freezing in some spots. So there is a freeze warning in effect from midnight through 8 a.m. Any plants outside your home that you really want to take care of, make sure you cover those up tonight. Uncover them tomorrow. Sunshine gets us to 71, even warmer. Gorgeous Sunday, 78.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited
back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Congressman Marsha Blackburn. Congressman, a couple more questions about Syria before we move on to some of the domestic issues. Obviously, the Russians have been very involved over there. They've been a major ally of President Assad. Are you concerned about their reaction has been negative about this? Are you concerned that this is going to further complicate world politics, not just the politics in the Middle East?
I think world politics are complicated, and the situation in the Middle East is indeed complicated. I think that bringing some leadership that is going to be firm and resolute and stand for wiping out these terrorist-related organizations is something that is going to send a message.
You mentioned earlier we do have some special forces units inside Syria right now. Are you comfortable that what the president is doing doesn't expose them to further danger, either from the Syrian forces or, for that matter, from the Russians, who have both military, they have military equipment over there, and they also have military advisors there?
That is correct. And I think that the steps that were taken last night, it does send the message that we are not going to stand for the actions that Assad has taken. The Russians, of course, are not happy with that, but I think they probably got the message that we are going to continue to protect. When we have people that are there, we're going to continue to push to protect them. Also, I think it's important to note that that this is going to have to be where it's not just us, but you're going to have other countries that will join us and push for the removal of Assad.
So you believe we'd be able to do something like that without the necessary use of ground troops in that area? I mean, that's just sort of certain areas you can do missiles.
That's exactly right.
Maybe you do planes,
that is
but
right.
then troops, that's a whole different level.
And you know, I'm not receiving any of the briefings. I am not in D.C. right now. We have others that are there and are getting those briefings, and for me to speculate on the information contained in them would be inappropriate.
The Republicans now back in this country control both houses of Congress. They control the White House. It was thought quite a bit was going to get done in this first 100 days of President Trump. We're not quite to 100 days yet, but not a whole lot, at least legislatively, to look at in either house, and a lot of it because of the failure of the health care bill. What happened?
Well, the health care bill is still in process. The Speaker pulled together a group of us week before last and said, let's continue to try to work with all parties involved and get a resolution to this, and we're doing that.
But the
Republicans it didn't work on that timeline that we had hoped, but we're making it a better process and a better bill.
But throughout the 2016 election, the Republicans said job one we get into Washington is going to be repeal Obamacare, replace Obamacare. They got there, and it was the Republicans who could not decide among themselves what to do.
You're right.
So
You're right.
Where was the disconnect? If that was job one, how come there hadn't been those conversations had before you got to the House floor?
Those conversations have been taking place. As a matter of fact, you can go back to February 2010 with the Blair House Health Care Summit, where the president invited Democrats and Republicans to come and bring their ideas on health reform. I was one of the 10 Republicans invited. We accepted the president's invitation. We laid out patient-centered health care. Our colleagues across the aisle, the Democrats, laid out a government-controlled health care. They went with their approach. I think the only couple of ideas they took from us were pre-existing conditions and coverage of children who were still in school. Our ideas have been there. How they come together and how you phase out Obamacare and get it off the books with the way the tentacles have spread and the 20,000 pages of regulations, yes.
Well, the millions of people who have coverage now.
Well, that is right. There are 9 million people, and 4.8 million of those individuals are in the Obamacare exchange because they lost their health insurance that they had been told by the president they would be able to keep, and they lost it.
Your group is talking about how to make it work President Trump has taken to Twitter several times to attack the Freedom Caucus, the conservative group in the House that did not go along with this. Is that a good strategy? Is telling people that they did something wrong now shape up going to really make a difference?
I would like to see the president tweet about the good things that we are doing, because we've passed a lot of legislation in the House and we've rolled back a lot of regulations that are having an adverse impact on our constituents and on jobs and the economy. So we've gotten quite a bit done, and we're going to continue to work on those things.
Do you wish the president didn't tweet quite as much? It does seem he's cut back a bit to me over the last couple of weeks and months, but you're constantly being asked to have to defend what he says, and I'm sure you don't have any idea what he's going to say until you read it like everybody else, and that can get to be a little annoying sometimes.
There are always things that the president is going to be tweeting, I have no doubt. I just want to put more of that focus on the legislation that we're bringing forward and the things that we're getting done.
In terms of what's happened with the health care bills, the president learning that the art of the deal in business is one thing, the art of passing legislation in Congress is a completely different animal, and he has to learn that? I
think he's probably a little bit surprised and a little bit disappointed, because the pace should have been faster. The House, I would have loved for us to finish the bill. We're very close, and I think within a couple of days of going back, you will see us with the bill back on the floor. We came to an agreement on risk pools, and that amendment was added to the bill just as we left D.C. on Thursday. So my legislation, or my amendment that would halt and put a block in to keep states from adding to the Medicaid expansion, that was accepted onto the bill. The pro-life language to put a one-year moratorium on big abortion providers. That language is in the bill. We clarified the language around illegal aliens and their access of health care. I got that clarification done. We have two members who had worked, one on doing block grants back to the states for health care, another on work requirements. All of that has been added to the bill. It makes it a better bill. Cuts $1 trillion in taxes. It yields an $800 billion savings in Medicaid. Puts $15 billion into state innovation grants, where you can look at things like healthcare informatics and interoperability and some of the great innovation being done here in Middle Tennessee, and actually get down the cost of health delivery.
Congressman Marsha Blackburn is our guest on Inside Politics. We've been talking about health care in Syria. Back to talk about some more topics after this break.
There's no single answer to securing your financial future. You need to look at it from every side. Get dependable advice you can count on every week with the Retirement Report on NewsChannel 5+. Experts on finance, taxes, and the legal system are ready to answer your questions. Don't wait to make a plan for your money. The Retirement Report, Friday mornings at 8 and at these encore times on NewsChannel 5+.
Coming up tonight on News Channel 5.
The insurance company won't call me back.
We'll make them fix your car. You deserve to be paid for what you've been through, and you deserve to get your car fixed.
Thank you for coming out to see me.
You're welcome. We're just a phone call away.
I got smart about saving for college. And now my daughter's off to a great start.
When it comes to your money, whatever you want to get smart about, you can find at smartaboutmoney.org.
We got smart about loans.
And sign here. Now it's our house we're going home to.
I got smart about preparing for those unexpected challenges. Now I know at least my finances will be healthy.
Smart About Money is a free online resource. We are a non-commercial, non-profit organization dedicated to helping people just like you get information about money. For everything from how to build an emergency fund to how to deal with job uncertainty, smartaboutmoney.org has the answers you've been looking for.
I got smart about credit.
Would you like paper or plastic?
Now paper or plastic has a whole new meaning.
Smartaboutmoney.org, the easy place to start when you want to get smart about your finances.
I gave you a Jen Aniston doll. Do you use her?
Yeah, all the time. Brought her here today.
All new Ellen, Justin Theroux.
Jen didn't like it.
That's a shame. That's why we still have it here.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, Real Housewife and dancing star Erica Jane. And
look what we can do.
The latest internet challenge.
No one is leaving until I get it in.
Monday at 3 on News Channel 5.
Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Congressman Marsha Blackburn. Congressman, it seems the other issue that continues to dominate Washington is the Russian investigations. President Trump has said that he thought he was being wiretapped in Trump Tower during the election. He hasn't offered much evidence about that. The FBI and the CIA don't have any evidence to offer. They don't think it happened. Why does he keep bringing it up?
Well, I think because of the concern, and then you have the situation that arose with Susan Rice this week, saying that she had requested summaries, reviewed summaries, and the unmasking of some of the names
but nothing about
from
her
the
releasing
transition
that to the media.
team. Well, we don't know who unmasked, if she was indeed the one that did the unmasking.
Well,
and
unmasking
then as
and giving it to the media is not the same thing. Unmasking was part of her job as National Security Advisor, and then she did that as a part of her work. She denies she gave it to anybody in the media. And
well,
what evidence do you have to offer that she did?
We don't know that. We don't know that she
she's
did
been accused
not
of, but she's been accused
that.
of what, based on what evidence?
I think that as a member of the Trump transition team, vice chairman of that, I want to know if she unmasked my name, if she gave my information to someone, and indeed 3 of us in Congress who were members of the transition team wrote a letter to the majority and minority leadership, House and Senate, on Intel this week to ask them to get to the bottom of this so that we can all know. If she did the unmasking, it does raise questions. Why did she think that she should be getting those? Why was she saying that it was for, what were her purposes? Her interview with MSNBC with Andrea Mitchell did raise a lot of questions, and since she was willing to talk to Andrea Mitchell, I think she should be willing to come in under oath before the committee and answer those questions. The committee investigation of the House, the Intelligence Committee, on the role of the Russians within the election got off to a rather rocky start. The chairman of that committee, Representative Nunes, has now stepped aside on that part of the committee. Congressman Conaway is going to lead that.
Did he make the right decision given all the controversy that had come up about his role in this and sort of how he'd been favoring the White House? Yeah, I can understand Chairman Nunes doing that because he is very low-key and very quiet. I don't think that it was something that was necessary. I do think that those that oppose him kind of picked up the rhetoric to take the heat off of Susan Rice and to redirect that. And it's really unfortunate that you see that political